Welcome to Invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. As the current time of 9:42 a.m. on the Eastern Time on December 20th, we are 5 days away from Christmas. Ethereum $1,212, up about close to 4% so far. On the overall crypto market, I would say relative to the equity market, we're definitely a little bit more green. But in terms of what's really driving this upward buying pressure is really due to its own technical normal course of cadence that as you reach to a certain level of resistance, certain buyers' appetite will start to percolate and eventually drive some buying pressure. But in terms of anything specific on a macro market perspective, I would say this is just the technical performing its natural course of cadence. And then take a look at the equity side. You can see that clearly on the left side of the chart. We're relatively red across the spectrum. Not significant, but definitely, not up or in the green area across the board, down about 0.5% on all the indexes. And then take a look at the news front. You can see that clearly. Most of the news are kind of shaky. Not really leaning anywhere positive. As you can see, S&P's 500 slips as Wall Street struggle continues. And what I mean by struggling is basically the lack of clarity around 2023. Based on the previous FOMC meeting, Jerome Powell's verbiage was, I would say, a little bit more, I guess, direct. People say aggressive, but I wouldn't say aggressive. I think if you really look at this on a relative perspective, the last four rate hikes was 75 basis point. We're shifting on to 50 basis point this time. But with respect to the big question mark around when do we stop, rates hiking, and when do we start to see a real turnaround with respect to the overall macro market? I would say, because of the fact that we have tweaked the rates from 75 four times to 50, was already like a preliminary indicator on a shift that's happening. And then also I'll take a look at the technical. We understand that obviously next year, Q1, Q2, would be another test for us to see how's the rate hike going, like, with respect to the 50 basis point. How's that fighting inflationary pressure? How's the job numbers looking like? How's the corporate earnings looking like? How the companies, in a corporate arena perspective, try to correlate with what the rate size is doing, and then seeing that in a progressive manner would allow us to slowly over time, again, right, supplementarily and incrementally get the level of confidence that investors are looking for, eventually to a point that you start to see not robust earning, but like progressive earnings, that you will start to see a rebound slowly shift onto a more like a brighter half of second half of 2023 all the way until 2024. So I do foresee like sometimes in Q1, Q2 we'll start to see some sort of a titanic shift on a market sentiment front, combining with the election, which we should be getting some sort of an indicator by then. So collectively, we have to see how that goes, right? So it's a collective effort that we need to kind of trend together. It's a lot of complexity that's in place, but it's important, and you can understand, like, I try to compartmentalize each of the specific factors onto stitching the overall story to understand where we're heading to. Okay. So as of this morning, we're seeing additional puzzles that we are looking to stitch into a bigger piece of the puzzle pie. It seems like, with respect to Wells Fargo agreed to pay a $3.7 billion for settlement over consumer abuses. I guess this has to do with its own mismanagement under the jurisdictions or the management from Wells Fargo executive team. In addition to that, with respect to Elon Musk, breaking news. Seems like obviously with the recent Twitter vote, he asked people, like, just publicly, like, is he in a good fit of being a CEO? Should he be hiring or appointing a new CEO for Twitter to run the ship? It seems like obviously majority of the people disagree with his tactics and his management style with Twitter so far. I mean, just talk about that, couple months ago, he walked in with a sink, like a literal sink that you bought in Home Depot, just to let it sink in. I mean, that's a comical statement that he made, but like with respect to people losing jobs, right? I'm not talking about just a couple people and they get a stipend or like some sort of get a bonus package, from the exit. You talk about laying off thousands of people around the holidays. So these type of aggressive management style definitely give people a bad taste in their mouth, and also doing that so like blatantly public and comically as well. It's just not. I mean, I get it. He's a visionary. He's definitely someone that is a genius level of a technologist, but with respect to management psychology, corporate morale, this definitely has made a dent to the company, which is not something that we appreciate, unfortunately. Um, in addition to that, on the last news that I'm seeing, Apple seems to be reporting, um, based on the recent report, begins to produce MacBook in Vietnam due to the tension that we're seeing in China for obvious reasons. So let's just dive into the technicals. I just got a bunch of messages on my phone for some reason. Apologies. So let's just take a look at what's going on with the technical front. Take a look at Ethereum. With respect to recording time of 9:48 a.m. on the Eastern time, we are just kind of leveling off, consolidating. You can see that with respect to the cross section, we are looking to kind of plateau a little bit on a daily. You are bouncing from the level that you have identified, 40 out of 70 on the RSI scale. And then with respect to the weekly, we are still looking to kind of cross down eventually. So we're hovering between like 1200 and 1100, but the real levels are 1250. Right? Remember 1250, and with respect to the next level is 1050. So anything in between are relatively weaker in terms of support levels. But we understand that on a monthly, as we get over the humps, right, with respect to the weekly, get crossed down, reach to a lower level first, and then rebound, to make sure that the daily, weekly, and the monthly are all in alignment. That should technically take place somewhere around like Q1, Q2, based on what the technical is saying in front of us. And then on the Bitcoin side of the equation, let's take a look at this together. We are still at the 16,500, up 2% so far on a weekly front. On a daily front, you could see that we are still, bouncing, but we still need to kind of cross up and to meet with this gap of 17,500. But with respect to the weekly, does it mitigate? Yeah, it does mitigate. You could see that we are still looking to cross down to fill this gap right here, but also to, synchronize daily, weekly, and monthly charts, which we are in need of to propel the market upward. So what that means is that if we were to see lower levels, like again 15,500, would not be a surprise for us. Okay, and then Q1, Q2, like after the tax seasons and stuff like that, and you start to see some efficacies around the rate hikes and progression from the corporate side. Obviously FTX like blows over by then, right? It should technically produce some more bullish momentum and sentiment psychologically to propel the market upward from here. And then on the index front, just take a look at this, right? We are revisiting this every single day, understanding the equity market has some correlations to the crypto market. So daily is a large separation, so it is looking to rebound any days now. On a weekly, you could see that we are still have some room to go down to. We are at 378, but the real level is something we need to get down to around like 375 below. And the reason is because we need to cross down to form this depth cross first, and before we run up, right? So what we're doing right now is basically a zigzag, right? So you have this head right here, you have this shoulder that you have formed. You need to form another shoulder right here, somewhere around this level. So it seems like we're not completely there yet. So we need to do so to form this depth cross, and for us to do that, align the daily, weekly, and the monthly chart collectively to allow for this to plateau, number one, reaching at 43 out of 70 first, and then rebound collectively by somewhere, again, right, months away from the current level that we are in right now. So by doing that, it will give us something that is called the reverse head and shoulder, right? Shoulder, head, shoulder. And that will drive us up from here. Okay. So hope you guys have a good Tuesday. We are counting our days away from Christmas and Kwanzaa, right? Let me know what you guys are doing for this holiday season. For me, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. This it's been just a lot of grind. I've shown you guys my schedule on a day-to-day basis has been looking quite dramatic. Like a lot of big meetings and a lot of just here and there, which can get a little bit tiring sometimes. And I just fall asleep every single day at like 10 p.m. on the dot. And then I wake up like still feeling a little bit tired. But I guess it's partially because of my diet. It's partially because of just like overworking myself, just to get that last pump before we go off to the holidays and relax and stuff like that, right? But appreciate you for joining me. Have a good rest of the day, and I will check you on the next one. Take care.